virtual lesson and practical research too. So I hope you are all safe and well and excited for this first video lesson because I have prepared new topic and a lot of activities for you. So if you are ready, let us start. So before I will start our discussion, I have to present to you some of my reminders for this video discussion. Okay, so my first reminder is to be ready. You must be ready with your modules or learning activity sheets. Second, your study notebook. And third, your ball pens. My second reminder is to dress appropriately. You must have to have a comfortable place to study because the comfortable the place is, the better the learning. Number 4, you must be very attentive. And number 5 is do not upload this video in any social media sites. So those are my reminders for this video lesson. Okay, our subject is practical research 2. I just want to present this so that you will know that you are in practical research 2 discussion. To present to you our lesson, let me show you our learning competency. So what is learning competency? This is our objective. Constructs an instrument and establishes its validity and reliability. So our objective for this lesson is we're going to make research instruments which are useful for your research study in gathering your data. So this is the code. And of course, our objective comes from DepEd. I told you before that you have to prepare your modules and learning activity sheets, ball pens, and study notebook because I have prepared a lot of activities for you. So one of the activity is this in Explore. This is a pre-assessment which will test how far have you learned during your grade 11 year in practical research 1. So our first activity is to explore. The direction is to identify the research instruments being described in the following statement. So what are you going to do is you have to scan your learning activity sheets which I gave you together with this video lesson, and then you're gonna be scanning for the answers there after presenting the statement. So I'll present the statement, then you will give the answer. Statement number 1. Allow a certain set of brands or products to be ranked based upon a specific attribute or characteristic. Okay. Okay, it stops. So what is the correct answer? It's rank order scale. Number 2. Is the one where once more interviewers answer questions in a group and where group members can easily interrupt them while they are answering the question. Discussion takes place like a debate. Okay, the logo stops. So what is the correct answer? It's focus group. Number 3. Is the one that takes place when you interview the studied population individually or in groups so that it freely expresses any idea, feelings, and motivations about the topic being studied. Okay, what is the answer? It's in-depth interview. Number 4. You write down information of a phenomenon or event that is taking place at that very moment. Okay. Oops. Okay, it's direct observation. Number 5. It seeks to explore the qualitative, in-depth aspects of a particular topic or issue. It gives a person the chance to respond in detail. Although open-ended questions are important, they are time-consuming and should not be overused. Okay, you scan for the answer. Okay, the correct answer is open-ended question. So I hope everybody got all the 5 correct answers for our first assessment. So let us not take this long but to discuss our lesson proper. So we are now on our learn in your learning activity sheets. You can see there, I have been talking always about research instrument. Now, what is a research instrument? So a research instrument is a tool used to collect, measure, and analyze data related to your research interests. These tools are most commonly used in health sciences, social sciences, and education to assess patients, clients, students, teachers, and staff. So, what is a research instrument? These are instruments or tools that we are going to use, we're gonna be making to collect our data, which are important and necessary for our research study. So for you as a student, since you have your research study, you will make a research instrument that will fit to your research title. So that is a research instrument. Again, it is a tool used to collect, measure, and analyze data related to your research interests. So that is a research instrument. So what are the samples of research instrument? And where can we get this data? So these are rating scales, interview, questionnaires, checklists, attitude scales, tally sheets, flowcharts. So you can read all of the samples presented in my PowerPoint presentations, all the research instrument that will be used for your research study. Okay, so let us now talk about qualitative research tools. When we say qualitative, this includes words, sentences to paragraphs. Then when we say quantitative, this include numbers and graphs and figures. So that is the difference between qualitative and quantitative. But let us discuss first what is qualitative research tool. Okay, there are many types of qualitative research tools. However, the one you choose must go according to our research objectives. To choose the proper one or ones, you must answer the following questions. What are you really planning to find out? How are you going to observe the target population? And what's the best tool to observe certain variables or indicators? Yes, because we cannot use all the research instrument for our research study. Instead, we have to choose only the necessary research tools relating it to our research study because we consider the importance of our research topic in also looking for our research tools. So it must answer with these questions. What are you really planning to find out? So your tool must base in this. How are you going to observe the target population? So you have to select a tool which will answer about this one. Then what's the best tool to observe certain variables or indicators? You have to select for a tool. So we cannot apply all the tools. Instead, we have to choose few tools that are only necessary for our research topic. So you can see there at the upper left, qualitative research tools, so you won't be get lost because this topic will take an hour and you might be lost if you will not notice what is our topic. So we're still in qualitative research tool, and one of the tools in qualitative research tool is the observation. And there are different kinds of observation. One is direct observation. When the topic and the objectives are not well defined, we can always carry out a direct observation. It is called direct observation because you write down information of a phenomenon or event that is taking place at that very moment. After a while of observing, you might have a better idea of the research problem and start writing the topic, research objectives, questions, or hypotheses of action or change if you need them. The direct observation begins with the first interaction the researcher has with the phenomenon to be studied. As a direct observation, for example, you are a student and then you notice in your class, in one of the subject, most of your classmates won't be attending in that particular subject, and you wonder why it always happened. So you were there to witness that most of your classmates are not attending this subject. So you are starting to have your curiosity for some reasons. Okay, so that is direct observation. Number 2, structured observation. So when we say structured observation, this means to carry out a structured observation, you must first select the variables or indicators you are about to observe. Take into account the participants' behavior and environment where it will take place, as well as any physical movements or symbols that are important to be taken into account. The observation notes must be compared periodically to check the reliability. When we say structured observation, you are writing before going into the environment or your respondents or participants, because our respondent is the term for those who will answer our instrument. So before going there, you have to write the indicators or the variables, means what are the things that you are about to observe. So you have to take down notes, and that should be consistent in how many observations, in some of your observations, if that is consistent. If the indicator is consistent or the variable is consistent, what you wrote are consistent and being observed always in that. So say for example, you are writing why your classmates will not attend in this subject. First, they don't find the subject interesting. You're writing there. And so, you observe. So that is structured observation. You're writing the indicators, the variables, and then observe it. Okay, so letter C is participant observation versus observer participant. So what is the difference between these two? The role of the observer can be divided in participant-observer and observer-participant. To be a participant-observer is to be part of the community and feel and live what the target population goes through. Means, when we say participant-observer, this happened in example in the type of ethnographical research, wherein you as a researcher will live with the participants, will live with the respondents. I mean, like for example, you're studying with the ethnic groups, you have to live with them in order to gather some information. So that is, because you will be observing through living with this ethnic group or this kind of people in order to gather the accurate data. So that is participant observer. You will live with the respondents. And this is applicable in ethnographical research. I mean, you could also use it in other, depending on your research title. In other words, the observer becomes part of the community members and enjoys all the rights the community members have. On the other hand, an observer participant is the one that carries the role of a visitor with the only right to observe their behavior and environment without participating in their activities. As previously said, the observer participant can only take notes of the activities he observes. And observer participant is only in some schools. There are researchers who will go to other schools in order to observe how the school or the teacher teaches. For example, the students behave during class discussion. So what they're doing is just to simply observe the class. They're not participating the activities. They will just sit down and observe what happened, but of course they are writing some of the variables and indicators of what are they going to observe. So participant observation or participant observer is part of the respondents, while observer participant is only to observe the respondents. Okay, so wow, let's go to number 2. Qualitative research tool number 2 is interview. From first observation to interview. As established here, an interviewing involves asking questions and getting answers from the participants in a study. Of course, interview means asking and then someone will answer. Interviewing has a variety of forms. It could be individual, one by one, face to face. And if not, we can use electronic devices or gadgets, especially this time in pandemic. We can use electronic if we can, as long as we have good internet connection. But if not, we can have face to face, but we have to ask permission. Okay, so that is interview, asking questions and getting answers. And there are types of interview. The first one is in-depth interview. So what is this in-depth interview? An in-depth interview is the one that takes place when you interview the studied population, individual or groups, so that it really expresses any idea, feelings, and motivations about the topic being studied. Bear in mind that this interview establishes a relationship among persons and that you must have an opening question. Keep the persons talking all the time. Ask them to clarify any ambiguous topic. So when we say in-depth interview, as a researcher, you have to initiate questions and then you just have to listen to your respondent while he or she is talking. As an interviewer or the researcher, you just have to simply listen while our respondent is talking. And then after that one, we can sort out those necessary informations that are only needed to our research topic. So that is in-depth interview. We are building good relationships to our respondents. Okay, so let us now go to semi-structured interview. That is our second kind of interview. What is a semi-structured interview is more commonly used in healthcare-related qualitative research. Such an interview is characteristically based on a flexible topic guide that provides a loose structure of open-ended questions to explore experiences and attitudes. It has the advantage of great flexibility, enabling the researcher to enter new areas and produce richer data. In addition, it helps the researcher to develop a rapport with the informants. Actually, one thing that we can get out from interviewing our respondents, that we build good and develop good rapport with them. That is why as a researcher, we must also respect our respondents if they're going to give information that is actually not related to the topic. We just have to listen anyway. That is the importance. Okay, so semi-structured review is more commonly used in healthcare. Qualitative research, such an interview is characteristically based on a flexible topic guide that provides a loose structure of open-ended. So that is why I told you we have to listen only, and we have to accept the information given even if this is not related, because this is an open-ended questions. We deliver open-ended questions and we are trying to explore how they will respond with it. So that is semi-structured interview. Okay. Next, clinical interview. Therapeutic or clinical interviews are another special kind of professional interview in which the purpose is to increase understanding and produce change in the person being interviewed. So when we say clinical, it's just like we are consulting, we are giving them our kindness because we wanted to understand, we wanted them to heal, a sort of like that. We wanted to ease what they are bringing, what they are holding on. So that is clinical interview. That means we get information, we give idea, we ask questions that would help them ease what they are up to. So that is clinical interview. Okay, letter D. History, stories, and life tales. This is a social science technique where an individual lets us know directly or indirectly about his life, surrounding environment, education, work, social status, religion, beliefs, history, and personal social factors related to his life. Actually, all the research interview here from A to F are always related on building a good relationship with the respondent. So, the moment that they started talking, they will be encouraged to tell more about their life. So that is history, stories, and life tales. And again, your role is only to listen. That is the significance or the role of the researcher. You can get a lot of information from them as long as they can relate with you. So that is one of the characteristics of being a researcher. Next, discussion group. A discussion group is the one where an interviewer asks a series of structured questions to the participants, which have been selected according to the units of observation, indicators, and objectives. So, as a discussion group, there are a list of indicators and variables, and the researcher will throw questions to the respondents, and of course, the respondents or the participant will answer it. The participants answer the questions individually without being interrupted by the other social pressure. So as I said, we cannot force one to give us or to answer us. Okay? So that is, again, another characters of the teacher. We should not, researcher, we should not force the respondent. If they will not be willing to give us the answer, then you should stop asking. Or you can ask another question. Okay. The last one is focus group. On the other hand, a focus group is the one where once more interviewers answer questions in a group and where group members can easily interrupt them. Meanwhile, they are answering the question. Discussion takes place like a debate. So, by the way, when we go to our respondent, we have to inform them that what kind of interview or observation are you going to perform, so that they will also know what are they going to do. Like, for example, in a focus group, so you must tell the respondent that you will be conducting a focus group interview so that they can interrupt, or when they can interrupt, or if not. Okay, so let our respondents know the type of interview and observation you are going to do. Okay, so when you say focus group, it is like a debate. The respondents can interrupt, can let us stop from talking because they wanted to give answers. So that is focus group. Okay, let's go to quantitative research tools. Again, quantitative includes numbers, figures, and what do you call this one? Measurement. Okay. The most used quantitative research technique is the survey. In a quantitative survey, you may use a short answer responses or dichotomous questions, multiple choice answers, paragraphs, check boxes, drop down, linear scale, multiple choice grid, and more. So when I tell you that the most common technique used in gathering data is this quantitative research tools, because it only includes numbers, and numbers are easy to analyze in gathering data rather than the informations, especially in coding. That would be so difficult if we will use qualitative research tools. So this is why preferable for students is quantitative research tools. And what are these quantitative research tools? These are, number one, the dichotomous question. So what is dichotomous question? Questions that are only answerable by a yes or no. For example, have you traveled to Guatemala? That is answerable only with yes or no. So that is a dichotomous question. Anything that is answerable by yes or no is a dichotomous question. Okay, this is so easy. Number two, a multiple choice questions. So when we say multiple choice question, this is not A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but, okay, naming all and then asking if they can specify other. So that is multiple choice. Multiple choice means you have to name all the choices. Okay, naming all the choices and then adding other. Please specify, because there are also answers that are answers that are not in the choices. So that is multiple choice question. Like, for example, where do you get the news from? So it could either be we can get news in television, radio, newspaper, magazine, word of mouth, internet. So if not in the option, then you can specify. So that is a multiple choice question. Okay, like for example, where did you hear the story about me? Oh, you can name your classmate. Like Raymond, Madel, Riam Madel, Chavi, but not in the mention, so you can write other. Please specify. Okay, and it's Sheila. So that is multiple choice question. Okay, so the third is rank order scaling. Rank order scaling questions allow a certain set of brands or products to be ranked based upon a specific attribute or characteristics. Example, based upon what you have seen, heard, and experienced, please rank the following brands according to their reliability. Place a 1 next to the brand that is most reliable, 2 next to the brand that is next most reliable, and so on. Remember, no two cars can have the same ranking. So like for example, you're interested to buy a motorcycle and then you are confused of what brand are you going to buy. Of course, you can ask your friends by ranking the brand that you are interested about. So for example, you're interested in Honda, Toyota, Mazda, or Ford, if there is, okay? So you can let them rank, okay, from 1 to 4. Okay, there are only 4 choices. So that is easy, rank order scaling. Another example, who's the most beautiful? This is so funny, but the easy way to understand rank order scaling is the most beautiful in your classmates. You can have Chavi, Ria Madel, Sheila, and Isa. Then you let your classmate rank who's the most beautiful, or the most beautiful one. Next to the most beautiful is 2, then next 3, 4. So that is rank order scaling. You can do that in your research. Okay, another. The rating scale. So what is this rating scale? A rating scale question requires a person to rate a product or brand along a well-defined, evenly spaced continuum. Rating scales are often used to measure the direction and intensity of attitudes. Say for example, which of the following categories best describe your last experience purchasing a product or service on your website? Would you say that your experience was I'm sorry, very pleasant, somewhat pleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, somewhat unpleasant, very unpleasant? Like for example, you are ordering, so that's very common, ordering in Shopee or Lazada, a curtain. And then you notice you are asked, how was the experience in ordering from Shopee or Lazada? So you could say, I am experiencing very unpleasant product or service from this courier. So you can, that is simply a rate scale. You have to choose if that is very pleasant, that is good, that's very good, or if not. So that is a rate scale. Okay. Okay, you can also have this one, filling in the whole about the product, about the quality of the product. For example, you're buying a Nike shoes. So would you consider the quality of the product as very good? Is it very good, good, okay, poor, or very poor? So you can fill in the whole. Okay, how about the speed of the service of the courier? So I've given you this example. Is it very good, poor, okay? That's like cleanliness of the product. Is it well packed? Okay, so that is the rate scale. Okay, the staple scale. The staple scale asks a person to rate a brand, product, or service according to a certain characteristics on a scale from +5 to -5, indicating how well the characteristic describes the product or service. This was the example. The following is an example of staple scale question. When thinking about data mining technologies in corporation, do you believe that the word innovative aptly describe or poorly describe the company? On a scale of +5 to -5, +5 to -5, with a +5 being very good description of the MT and -5 being poor description of the MT. How do you rank the MT according to the word innovative? So, you just have to, from in the center there, you can see in the screen, there's, in the center is innovative. So, it's all up to you if you're going to give a +5, which is describes very well, or -5, which is poorly described. So there is a scale there which numbers are only included or that belongs to innovative, if this is very innovative. positive 1 to 5, and then if it is not that innovative, that is negative. Okay, the next is the constant sum question. So a constant sum question permits collection of ratio data, meaning that the data is able to express the relative value or importance of the options. Option A is twice as important as option B. Example, the following question asks you to divide 100 points between a set of options to show the value or importance you place on each option. Distribute the 100 points, giving the more important reasons a greater number of points. The computer will prompt you if your total does not equal exactly 100 points. When I say constant sum, you just have to divide 100 points into the different indicators or variables you wrote for your research. Say, for example, when thinking about the reasons you purchase or target find data mining software, please rate the following reasons according to the relative importance. So, seamlessly integration with other software. Are you going to give 20%, 10%, 5%? As long as all these indicators here, the indicators are written. So, we have seamless integration with other software, user friendliness of software, ability to manipulate algorithms, level of pre- and post-purchase service, level of value for the price, convenience of purchases, quick delivery. So you just have to give value of each of the indicator, and then you have to total that one and make sure that the total is it sums up into 100 points. Okay, like for example, you are to describe your friend. Let us say Madil. So her talents are, for example, you're going to give points to her talents: singing, dancing, acting, and of course, in singing, acting, dancing, and whatsoever talent. So let us consider these three. So you are going to distribute 100 points. How many points are you going to give for his dancing skills? Oh, if you observe that she's good in dancing, so you can give 75%. The rest, and that 25% will be divided for the other two skills. Okay, that's constant sum. Okay, aside from the specified research tools, and there are also other research tools that are used in research study. So we have the additionals are the open-ended question. Open-ended question seeks to explore the qualitative, in-depth aspects of particular topic or issue. It gives a person a chance to respond in detail. Although open-ended questions are important, they are time-consuming and should not be overused. So when you say open-ended question, you throw a question and then the respondents will give multiple answers if he or she wants. Okay, so that is an open-ended questions. So this open-ended questions is one of the research tool wherein you can really sure that the respondents could really respond to you, since they are allowed to talk and give some informations because of it's an open-ended question. An example of an open-ended question might be if the respondent indicates they did not find what you were looking for. Like for example, if they notice that what they're looking for in a particular set is not there, so they can ask questions to the researcher, and then the researcher will answer, or in a way the researcher have questions and then the respondents will answer. So this is just a mutual uh, relationship between the researcher and the respondents. They were both open to everything, to ask questions and to give free answers. Another is the demographic question. So demographic questions are an integral part of any questionnaire. So the most important in any questionnaire is demographic question. What do we mean by demographic question? Demographic is knowing the age, the gender, the income, the race, the geographic place of residence, the number of children, and so forth. If you have observed, if you have tried filling out personal data, you can see there that you are asked to write your age, your gender, your income, if there is, your race, your nationality, your residence. So that is a demographic question actually. If you are going to have a resume, you are going to have a demographic, there are the demographic questions there, and you have to fill out the informations needed in it. So some of the informations are again the age, the gender, the income, the race, the geographic place of residence, the number. That is demographic question. That's easy to understand. Okay, so this one is the example. For example, demographic questions will help you to classify the difference between product users and non-users. Perhaps most of your customers come from the Northeast are between the ages of 50 and 65. Oh, is this you are having a research on what age or what particular age the most of the respondents use your product. Say, for example, you are selling lotion, papaya lotion, and then you notice that most of the users are with the age of 50 to 65 who buy your product. So that is a demographic. Another, the last one is survey. Is defined as the collection of information from a sample of individuals through the responses to questions. This type of research allows for a variety of methods to recruit participants, collect data, and utilize various methods of instrumentation. Survey. One example of this is the survey we see and we notice in the television. Like for example, a survey of how effective the administration of Duterte is. With a span of 3 to 6 months, we can already know the responses of the respondents or the data, because they're just simply asking questions if how they feel about the administration. So that is a survey. If you are another example, if you are surveying in some other places, like in a particular place, or surveying what should be the best business to be built in this area. Like for example, in Upacan, if you notice that most of the people living in Upacan go to bye-bye to have leisure time in Jollibee. So one of the feasibility study is conducted, a survey is conducted if it would be okay to build a Jollibee in Inupacan. So that is survey. Okay, so finally we are done discussing the different research instrument. Okay, the research tools, from the qualitative research tools to quantitative research tools. What are the qualitative research tools? We have observations and interviews. What are the types of research observations? The different interviews to quantitative research tools, from constant sum, rank order scaling, staple scale, constant sum, open-ended questions for the other research tools. So there are a lot of research tools that we discussed today. So after that one, you have to get your study notebook again and your ball pens and your learning activity sheets for another activity. So what is this activity? Direction. Make or use 5 instruments for your research. Note: questions must be related to your research topic. Therefore, these questions should gather the data needed for your research. So don't worry, because I will give you 2 weeks to have your research instrument. Then after that one, you have to submit this one. Yes, this is necessary to submit your research instruments to me, because I will check and change if there are changes, and if it needs changes, then you can encode this one after checking, before we will have to perform our research study, before we will give our instruments to the respondents. uh, so that is why you have to make really and to submit your research instrument needed for your research. Okay, so that is your engage. This is simple class. You just have to be responsible in making your research instrument and submitting it to me, because I will really return this one, because you cannot conduct a research without this research instrument. You cannot go to the respondent without this research instrument. Okay, next, apply. Direction. Role play a 5 minutes interview to your target respondent through online or face-to-face if allowed. Use any type of interviews. So again, you still have 2 weeks there to prepare for this role play and 5 minutes interview. while I was checking your research instrument, you can do this 5 minutes interview also. So you can submit it or you can extend time for this. I will allow you. Just focus on your research instrument construction. So this is your criteria for your role play. Okay, you get to read this one. And our references. And of course, thank you so much for listening to this discussion. And I hope and pray that we can really make our research this year. And God bless everyone. Teacher Raj.